Okay. Hi, friends. How are we doing? This isn't the typical webinar. This is my this is my excuse to freaking share some things that I've learned along the way. And then I play the game called a webinar, but you know, you ain't gonna get 7 steps to success and you'll make it in life and that'll nobody wins in that because even when you win, you're still losing. Um, I'd rather I'd rather teach people something that can work for their entire life. And so before we even get started, I just want to center this call. So I know that there are people taking time out of their busy schedules, as am I, to make their lives important. Maybe you saw me on a podcast or show or on my social media or a clip, a podcast, something. And this is your first time and we get to, be in this space together. I just want to say thank you for coming on here. I know some of y'all got kids. Some of y'all just like, man, I I just really needed it. I really needed support today and I answered the call. Wherever you are at your walk of life, I don't take it lightly. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. And also, even though she's not on the call, I want to acknowledge my wife for all the time, every time I have a call like this. She gives me the spaciousness, doesn't have the kids coming in, even though I'm at a hotel right now. But I just, I'm so grateful for my wife because I would not be where I am in life if it hadn't have been for her understanding and the way that she stands for me and loves me. So if y'all ever encounter my wife, she'd be like, "Thank you," and you just send her a thank you, and also want to acknowledge myself. And before anybody says, "Oh my God, I got on this webinar and Garrain was talking about himself. He's so vain." This is probably not the call you want to be in because I refuse to live in a society where they brainwash you and they tell you when you're little kids, they were like, "You think the world revolves around you." It actually does. That's why when you say, "I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm tired. When is it ever going to happen? It's never going to happen for me." You keep manifesting things that sound just like that in your life. That sounds like a world revolving around the vibration that you hold from the words that you allow to come out of your mouth. So, in the spirit of that, I, I'm not this born miracle that's going to sign up for that bullshit. Here's what I'm signing up for. Everybody on this call is a miracle. Everybody has something magical inside, whether you know it or not. Everybody has a main line in them. What is a main line? Maybe you're just going at life and you're just kind of trying to figure something out and I think I need to do this and I think I need to do that. Maybe you have a really good high paying job, but deep inside, that same pay don't feel the same when the truth shows up and you look in the mirror and nobody else is around. My friend, there is something inside of every single person on this call that if you tapped into it, it would transform your entire life within a month. And that is something God has put inside of you. And that's called a gift. And I'm not talking about the gift outside of you, this fake gift called the Christmas gift or the fake present when you don't know how to be present to your own gift. So everything that's connected to you is an outsourcing word of the same word that drives you away from yourself. So, having said that, my name is Garrain. I am your friend. And if at any moment on this call you feel like I'm talking to you, I am. That's why you're on this call. Uh, so, just a little bit about me. I don't casually do these calls. And people often ask, "Well, why do you do so many free things?" I was like, I want you to imagine living in your car for 2.5 years, being an ex-convict, can't take care of your bills, $250,000 in debt, sleeping in an abandoned building, sleeping in a storage unit, and the only thing that saved your life is you kept getting these hunches saying, do this. And so you start up this hiking group in LA. And within a month, 100-something people are just hiking with you for free. And then you just start this thing, even with no money, you live in your storage unit. Most people make excuses. They're like, oh, I can't afford it. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, I don't have that. Meanwhile, I'm in my storage unit and I got 100-something videos out. And the name of my video series was called The Storage. And nobody knew I was living in my storage. Your energy is worth more than your money. And I want you to write that down. There's so many people that allow so many things to stop them from what their soul says do right now. So hear me when I say, for most people on this call, I probably started light years back. I didn't have the home. I didn't have the money. My daughter pretty much disowned me. My girlfriend had broken up with me because I couldn't get my life together. My mom was dying in the hospital. All of this was happening at the same time. I had and it's the typical black man in America with tattoos, deadbeat dad, you can't pay the taxes, been to jail. It was the typical program. Meanwhile, there was this little voice inside that says, Garrain, you love to run. Garrain, you love to hike. Garrain, you love community. Garrain, make this video. Garrain, do this. Garrain, you don't have any money, but you love to sing. Do singing telegrams. I'd never done that before. Next thing you know, I got $2,000 in my PayPal because I'm doing singing telegrams on damn YouTube. So I say all that to say this. The reason why I do these calls is because my saving grace at the lowest point of my life was when I took what I was passionate about and I shared it with other people and I would watch their lives change. So it makes sense why I started making a lot of money doing what I would do for free, because I was already doing it while I was homeless. So it seems like there was another world beyond the 9 to 5 and just go to work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Seems like I've been here before. You probably have in every lifetime, and you're still making the same mistake. So what I learned during that time was, when you have a gift, when you have a calling, when there is something that you love, it don't matter what skin color, your age, your nationality, where you're from, your religion. If God puts something inside of you and you leave it in there, that's like holding your breath for 2 minutes, wondering why your lungs are collapsing. And that's what it'll do to your life. So in the lowest point of my life, that little voice that says, do this. Do this. Yeah, but I don't have no money. What does that have to do with what I asked you to do? Do this. I never stopped doing what the whispers, what the hunches asked me to do. Now we sit here in 2025, several multi-7-figure businesses, traveled close to 100 countries, best-selling book, extraordinary wife and family, got my relationship back with my daughter, retired my mom in 2015. I rose above all the constructs that they literally program to trap us. Now, why am I sharing with you this? To show you what is possible when you start trusting, you start accepting, you start leading a life that is being led by the gift that is in your soul, whispering at you at every corner. Yeah, but I got this 9 to 5 job and I got to do this, man, but it's paying me good money. How's it doing on your spirit, homie? How's that weighing on your soul? You always wanted to sing, but I can't sing a note. What does that have to do with something you always wanted to do? Because anything that you can do, you can get better at. I want you to write that down. Anything I can do, I can get better at. So the title of this talk is Tapping into the Main Line. So I'm going to explain how we got here. I mean, we can go back as far as you want, but I'll keep it I'll keep it simple, but it's still gonna be deep. Some of y'all gonna be like, "Damn, G, why you gotta be so deep?" Because we're not surface level people. If you want a surface level life, you are probably on the wrong call. Type 5 in the chat if you want the real stuff. You tired of the 7 steps to success and eat this pineapple rind, lose 30 pounds in a day, and the cheesy snake oil gimmick everywhere you turn. You want the real stuff? The vibrationally true, where I'm not speaking to your head and I'm speaking to the wisdom in your body? This ain't wisdom. This ain't intelligence. Wow, that person's really intelligent. They went to Harvard. No, that person has a really great memory. Real intelligence. Don't let them lie to you. Here's real intelligence. When you cut your hand and it bleeds and then it scabs and then it grows back, that's intelligence. You didn't have to go to school to that. You just had to be born. Wouldn't you want to learn from whatever that source is? That's crazy. So, at any moment during this webinar, it's actually a remembrance. During this remembrance call, when your stomach starts lighting up, that vibrational awareness in your body starts lighting up. Some of y'all know what the Kundalini is. I'll just say, imagine inside of your spirit is a little candle wick, and only vibration can light it. So if you start feeling the heat in your spirit, just know I'm not talking to your linear mind. You got enough of that in public education. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Program. I won't be talking to that version of you. Now, before we get started, I'm going to share with you which version of you I'll be talking to. I need everybody to close their eyes real quick. When you love yourself, that's where the magic is. All right. I need everybody to close your eyes. I'm going to share with you the version of you I will be talking to tonight. One hand on your heart, the other hand on your belly. Okay, without talking, without making a sound, I want you to say, I deserve to be happy. Without talking, without moving your mouth or making a sound, say, I deserve to be happy. And I want you to notice what's going on in your body. Eyes closed. Okay, now say, I am infinite happiness. Eyes still closed. Interesting. You didn't move your mouth. You didn't even say anything. But yet, somebody said something. Who said that and who heard that? You didn't move your mouth. But yet you heard something. And somebody said something. And it was inside of you. That version of you, open your eyes. That version of you is the one I'm talking to. That one. Consciousness in a skin suit. So that version of you that said something without you opening your mouth, and that heard something, that's the one that's going to light up. My gift in this world is knowing how to teach and develop that version of you. So how do we get here? We are all born multidimensional beings. All of us. How do I know? Because you have dreams and intuitions. That should tell you enough right there. There's so much more, but just type a 5 in the chat. You ever had a dream before? Now type a 5 in the chat if you ever had a hunch or an intuition, and then all of a sudden you just like, whatever happened to Frank, and then he just call you for the first time in 15 years out of nowhere. You're like, oh, what a coincidence. Now, I want you to type a 5 in the chat when you were a little kid going to elementary school, and you would go and walk by another little kid, and all of a sudden that little shock goes, and it would like shock you on the elbow. And then the teacher or somebody else would say, oh, it's static electricity. It's in the carpet. So, my friends, that was a lie. We have electrical currents inside of us. We have electrical currents inside of us. The reason why you don't feel it now is because all of the programming since you have been born has you in so many constructs that you are further and further and further and further and further away from your original self. And that's why a little kid can have these big, massive dreams when they're little and have all this energy, all this creativity, all this wonderment. And the next thing you know, 20 years later, they're like, oh, yeah, get a real job. 9 to 5, working the 9 to 5 job out of security and fear. And it's all these different things. The only reason why the shock isn't there, because your circuitry inside of you that you were literally born with is dull. It's dull, like a dull pencil. It needs to be rewired. And so that's why all of the energy starts to dwindle down because of the lifestyle and how you live your life. It's not the fact that you get, look, I got a good, great car, a great house, and great money. I'm telling you, that is not a measure of actual success. It's a measure of financial progress, but it's not a measure of actual success, because God don't pay money. God pays your whole life. So if the money is the only thing you have to show for, but the relationships, the intimacy, your children, all these different things ain't matching, I promise you it's an overcompensation. And I'll tell you, here's how we get here. Because you look on the US dollar. Where my wallet at? Let me show y'all something real quick. You look on this US dollar. Here's how we get here. You look on this US dollar and that thing say, "In God we trust," with all these signs and symbols that don't nobody know anything about. I promise you, that ain't the same God that created us. This is called NLP, which I know a lot about. NLP is called neuro linguistic programming. They want you to see trust, trust, and God over the White House and on the dollar. So you trust the government as your God and you trust the money as your God. That's why when it goes up and goes down, it changes your personality. Because whatever has power over you becomes your God, whether you're conscious of it or not. That's the outsourcing of power. But when you see, "In God we trust, in 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 God we trust," and then all of a sudden you miss out on money and you stop thinking about you stop thinking about things that you can create, things that you can wonder, because your energy is worth more than your money, and then the money takes you out. But how did we get here? Because in order to rewire the circuitry, and the circuitry is the thing that has you have energy all day long, that has you have creativity all day long. That vibration inside of you, that's all circuitry. It should not come once every 3 months. Every day, people are like, "Garrain, how do you have so much passion?" I'm telling you, it ain't big Garrain. It's little Garrain that has been given permission to take the seat of the freaking, take the front seat. And just big Garrain is the one with the discipline. So, how did we get here? All right, here's how we got here. Because I got to give you context before I can give you the lesson, because I don't want it to just be another thing with like 7 steps to success. You know what? Sign up for my program. This ain't that. I'm going to give you context every step of the way, because that's what we didn't get in school. Do this because I said so, because this is what you're going to graduate with. These things right here is how the mind gets warped. So here's how we got here. And I'm going to go deep. So if you want surface level stuff, this ain't the call to be on. All right. 400 years ago, there's a person named Rockefeller. The main job at that time was factory working jobs. Assembly line, bell, no windows, and it was just like that was the main job. That's how they made all the money, right? Those people made a lot of mistakes. So they came up with this really good idea to get them while they're young. And you know what they created because of all those mistakes? Public education. That's why you learn a whole bunch of stuff in elementary. You're like, "I've never even applied this," because you didn't even know what you signed up for when you went to the free education. That whole algorithm of public education was training you to be a factory worker. And then there was no more factory working jobs. So you know what the factory working jobs turned into? 9 to 5. That's why there's so many people working 9 to 5. It was a part of a long-term system. 80-something% of people go to their grave with less than $75 in the bank. Where does that come from? If you can hook a child young enough, if you can get them young enough, and all of us have gotten it, if you can get them young enough, you can literally determine the lane of their life, make them believe that they're free, but they've been controlled since they were children. And you know where they start? As little babies. "Hush, little baby, don't you cry." Meanwhile, where did the Me Too movement come from? A whole bunch of people that did not know how to share the truth. Number one fear in the world, people that are afraid of public speaking, even more than death. You know where that started? "Hush, little baby, don't you cry." When a child does not know how to express emotions, Be quiet. Be quiet. 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 Be quiet. You're too loud. Quiet. Quiet. You know what they do? Stuff them. Stuff them. Stuff them. Stuff them. And stuff them. And what you think you're stuffing in your authentic emotions comes out in unhealthy ways. And that's porn, sex addiction, drugs, alcohol, physical abuse, murder. All of those are forms of expressions, but they're unhealthy forms of expression, I guarantee you, because at the point of origin, the original expression did not have enough safety in the body in order to release. This is just one program called public education. Now, there's this whole thing. And growing up as somebody who had speaking issues, I had a learning disability. What would normally take you 6 days to learn would take me 6 months to learn. So I had, still to this day, a much slower processing speed than probably most people on the planet. And I was in special education classes. I used to talk like this. I literally used to talk like this. And anytime somebody would speak how I'm speaking right now, I would clam up and I wouldn't talk. And I was labeled as ADD, ADHD. They gave me the iron, the Ritalin. Thank God my mom ain't had no money to pay for that. They took me off the Ritalin. But one thing I noticed was when I had the Ritalin, I became a good boy, but I became less creative. When I got off the Ritalin, I became a bad boy, but all my creativity came back. So the English, anybody whose first language is English, the English language, because I have to give you context on how we got here, because sometimes we point to the wrong things. It was like, I can't seem to figure out this money. I can't seem to figure out these relationships. Why is it not working? I'm working so hard. I get out and get into all this momentum, but it seems like I get 3 steps back. If you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, because you can't see the picture while you're in the frame, you'll blame anything that you can see. My role and my job, and what I'm really good at, is seeing and understanding the map of the soul and how impressionable it is. So, this thing called English language. Have you ever thought to yourself, why does gift you are, and then Christmas gift, why are they the same word? Why is present and present the same word? Why is the soul in your body and the sole of your shoe same word? Why are all these things the same? Like really think about it. People are not stupid. Why are these words the same? So when you, the TV, television, tell a vision so you don't have one of your own. Anything that is connected to you, anything. Spirit, alcohol, spirits. Alcohol, that word alcohol is called body eating spirit. That's where alcohol comes from. Spirits. Your spirit, outsourcing spirit. So everything that's connected to you, the brain is a computer. Artificial intelligence, God, so everything that is connected to you, there's an outsourcing of something that takes you away from yourself. Now, you know why people have an issue going inward? Type a 5 in the chat if you have an issue going, like truly going inward, or you have at one time in your life. Okay, here's Here's why, especially in the black community. Here's why. It's not about the spelling, it's about how it phonetically sounds. Think about the sound. What else sounds like N-word? You're not allowed to say the N-word. So when you hypnotize a whole culture around N-word, and then you have another word that's spelled differently, so it must be different, that says, why don't you just go inward? Whichever one has the most power is the one that's controlling the narrative. So how do I know this? Because in order for me to learn how to read, because I had a speech impediment, and then I had this slower processing speed, I flipped it on its head. And so now my slower processing speed can gather large amounts of data, and I don't miss anything, including words that sound exactly the same. And when I research these words and what they're rooted in and the origin and how it phonetically sounds, and I was like, oh my goodness, somebody did this on purpose. And you know who did it on purpose? This is part of the weaponizing of language. You got to understand, the English language is rooted in oppression. It's literally rooted. That's why words like tranquility, feel good in your body, that ain't an English word. But the English language is rooted in oppression. So, who shaped these words? And I found a guy named Noah Webster. Y'all know who Noah Webster is? Webster's Dictionary. Never thought to look up the guy and his character. We just take the book. This is what it says in the dictionary. No. Don't show me the dictionary. Let me know about your life. I want to know who Noah Webster is. Oh my goodness. Harvard graduate. And his war wasn't fighting. His war was in the mind, shaping the way Americans think. But during that time, it was all about oppression. So he literally designed, like how you see the sole of your shoe, but people have difficulties tapping in their soul because the thing that gets the most power is the sole of your shoe. And you know what the sole of your shoe does? Blocks you out from the 200,000 sensories on the bottom of your feet. So most people are cut off from embodied connection simply because they wear shoes too much. But why does soul and soul sound the same? That was part of Noah Webster's weaponry of the linguistics. So we will trap ourselves and not even realize it. By the way, this is that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. This was the beginning of that. This is how we get here. Not knowing the programs that were here before we got here and just unconsciously go through it. And for people who live in America, you're like, yeah, we're a free country. So how did I find freedom in prison? I was like, wait, why do I feel more free in prison than I do at home and I'm free? Must be a different kind of freedom. So something happened to me when I was in prison, when I started remembering that I love to sing. I love to do my art, things that I used to do as a little child. I was serving a 12-year sentence for smuggling 6.2 kilos of heroin from one country to the next. And at a certain point in prison, in France, I said, what can I do in here that I wouldn't normally do out there? And I started doing everything I said I was going to do. Some of y'all had your opportunity during COVID. They were like, oh my goodness, if I just had the time, I'll write my book. All of a sudden, you had all the time during COVID. Where your book at? Where your podcast? It wasn't the time. Your ass was just making excuses and lazy. Stop. You didn't have the right person pushing your buttons. Be like, where the book at? So when people was going batshit crazy during COVID, it was like the lockdown. Oh my goodness, Garrain, what you gonna do? I was like the same shit I did when I was in prison, when I was on lockdown. All the stuff I used to love to do when I was a kid. So I started running and doing push-ups and singing and flopping around and doing art. My business quadrupled. They were like, how is that happening? I said, because I found freedom in prison. So here I am serving a 12-year prison sentence, and I feel better in prison because of something I'm giving to myself. The money couldn't do it. The woman couldn't do it. It was something I was giving to myself in prison. Just imagine. And then something happened. Something happened. There was an energy that took over after a certain amount of time. It's almost like there was another world. I didn't know it because you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. And I just kept doing it. And I kept doing it. And I kept doing it. And I was just like, I'm just motivating people. I learned fluent French so I could like motivate people in French. Right now, c'est très facile pour moi to speak French. It's been a while. And when I felt free, feeling freedom is very different than fighting for freedom. You just listen to that word. Fight. I'm fighting for my rights. I'm fighting for freedom. I promise you, you ain't gonna never get it. Not in the resonance of that energy. You got to think in terms of energy. When I felt free, magically, 2.5 years in my prison sentence, they called me into the office and they said, Jones, 90% of the drugs were fake, and for the amount that was real, you've already done the time. You're free to go home. What was that powerful? That it could override. What was that powerful? That it could override? No, because it was something about my energy. It was something that I was connected to inside of myself. It was the main line. The thing that brought me the most joy, the thing that I was called to do. It was something about singing, something about like really activating myself in a specific way. And then I did it. So now, the reason why I'm giving you this context is because I learned what actual freedom is. And not constitutional freedom is not freedom. I promise you. It's the power, I want you to write this down, the power to possess my own mind and govern my own emotions without outsourcing them. Type a 5 in the chat if this is landing for you. Okay, so let's go in further. That's one iteration of how we get here. Not knowing how powerful the language is that we speak. Like really not, you gotta understand Everything about you is godlike because you're created in God's image. So if you look in the mirror and be like, oh, I don't love myself, I promise you, you're not operating from God. You've allowed yourself to fall into the perceivable program that's designed for us not to elevate. But looking in the mirror and seeing God through your eyes is very different. Because if you're created in God's image, there's no way you can see anything other than God through your eyes. And I'm not talking about a colonialized version of God. I'm talking about this multi-dimensional being of light that's literally in you. God, what do you look like? Eyes see you everywhere you look. So, and I know there's going to be somebody that says, Garrain, what's your affinity? How come you don't like religion? I was like, what came first? Humans or religion? Humans. I said, so the people who came and died before humans created religion, did they go back and retroactive those people who died and be like, hey, you're going to hell? This is how you know. this is how you know everything is construct. See, I don't go by the book. I travel all over the world to the places that are in the books so I can learn from the elders, so I can learn from the people, because they'll have a completely different story than, I travel to all these countries and I listen to the news and I'm like, wow, this is the same event. This is the same exact event, but they're all talking about it differently. So everything that I say is coming from a world traveler that has studied and sat with elders and people from these countries. And so what I want to share is I have a deep desire for humans to learn who they were meant to be, who they were designed to be, and not to live the life that you settle for and then call it good because the one that you actually want, you think it's too late. I'm 46 putting out my debut album, and it don't sound like something that a typical 46-year-old, oh my goodness, look at that, tink, 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 come on now. No, it's when you allow the truth to run through you, it's timeless. Garrain's not doing it. Garrain's the conduit for the message. So it's no longer about the age, it's more about the message. And so I have a deep desire to create a space for the being part of the human to tap into their main line and operate from that space, the magical space, the passionate space, the one that can transform your whole lifestyle. Why? Because when God pays, God doesn't pay in dollars only. God pays for you in your whole life. When the flowers bloom, all of them bloom. You got to think human nature. We ain't talking about I'm just here to pay bills and die and then pass that philosophy on to my kid and just kind of get by in life. I promise you, that's not the life that you're actually meant to live. It's the program that they ran us through before we were even conscious. Some people know it and don't even know what to do about it. Guess what? I do, because that's how I got out of it. Everything that I do in my life is teaching people how to create their own program and create a game inside of the game, so that you can know what the program is, the language program. Because I'm talking about how did we get here, and I got to take a lot on this before I get into the other parts of the lesson, because the foundation is where you do the most work. That's where all the excavation happens when you're trying to build a house. So the language, the school, And the third one of how we got here is the invisible world called your emotions. You can't see them. And we got eyes and think that's the only way to see. But meanwhile, Stevie Wonder write all these damn songs about a world that sounds more beautiful than the one that we've seen, and he's never even seen it. Must be a different way to see. That's the world that I teach. The world that Stevie Wonder sees without needing to see. It's the non-physical world. Your emotions. They hook the emotions, so the attack. So I asked somebody the other day, and I said, do you know what the biggest business in the world is? And they said, oh, Walmart, that's easy. I said, not even close. They were like, they looked it up on ChatGPT. They're like, look, it's Walmart. I said, I promise you. How much you want to bet? I said, I promise you. The biggest business in the world, Walmart, is peanuts compared to the biggest business in the world. They said, since you know so much, what's the biggest business in the world? Human emotions, obedience, and belief systems. And the product is us. Walmart and all these other companies benefit from this product, but the biggest business, obedience, human emotion, and belief systems. This is where schooling and religion and politics, all of this is a part of the same ecosystem, benefiting from the biggest business in the world. This is how we get here, being a product of the biggest business in the world and not know it. Now, these emotions, how do they hook them? You got to think in terms of everything is nature. A bird is a plane. They've duplicated a plane from a bird. A helicopter, that's a dragonfly. A computer is our brain. The television is outsourcing of our vision. Tell a vision. So you don't have one of your own. Now, y'all ready for this one? Ooh, this might blow some of y'all's minds. Because I got to share with you how we got here. What is that remote control? Y'all can say what up to Blair. What's that? What is the remote control duplicate? Anybody know? We know what the television duplicates. What does the remote control duplicate? Take the R off. Emote control, the emotional controller. What is the world's largest emotional controller? What is the world's largest force that controls all emotions? The moon. And is directly connected to the woman's body. But they tell us, oh, it just reflects light. No, but it's directly connected to the woman's body. It don't just reflect light. It's connected to all of the oceans and all of the water, and we're made up of 75% water. So it's connected to the it's connected. So wait, what does the moon have to do the remote control? Well, what do you have to push on the remote control? Buttons. So what are the buttons duplicating? Oh, y'all. Your very first portal, and it's on your body, called the belly button. That belly button, this is why when you sleep up, you get more downloads than when you sleep to the left, because it is a signal. It is like an antenna. And whatever's in the field is whatever you get in the download. So the moon is an amplifier. It don't just reflect light. Otherwise, it would be connected to the woman's body. It is whatever's in the field, the moon will amplify. So all the government has to do is control what is in the field. So the moon will amplify whatever's in the field. So what do? They control by Wi-Fi, 5G, 6G, 7G. I got the real G because I got God. Anyways, but now back to your regularly scheduled programming. But they control the food, the spices, all these different things. They control the media, freaking paid ads. Everything is targeting your emotions. Like when I tell you this ain't just a random thing. Somebody like, you're a conspiracy. No, I can see this shit. It's right in front of our face. When you look at things like this, the building blocks, you can't think of right now. You got to think of long-term play. You understand, it's a long-term play. Most people be like, right now. No. You got to look. In order to be able to gather the synchronicities of the data, you got to look at the long-term play. When we were little kids, what was the building blocks of colors? What did you start with? Primary colors. What do you see on every gossip magazine? Primary colors. What colors the packaging on all the candy? Primary colors. What colors all the wine coolers and everything? Primary colors. It's all part of the system. So that's why when you walk down the candy aisle, you damn near get hypnotized. The part of you that's getting hypnotized is the person that got hooked on the primary colors, the little kid. That's why the brand of my company is Primary Colors. Because I see what the fuck you are doing, people. I don't like people who take advantage of people. So because I can catch patterns, I'll play your game and I will teach the people what they were actually meant to be taught as children. This is why I created my company, Art is Power. This is how we get here. So when we just go through life, whatever happened to the last 10 years? How did I used to love this. Where did it all go? We are woven into all of these different programs that is sponsored by your damn emotions, but because you can't see them, weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving, and I have you living in the country thinking you're free, but you're not. I learned what real freedom is. And it was the same freedom Harriet Tubman had when she freed all those slaves. Ain't no damn human did that. She reached a frequency in order to be able to do that. And that same frequency is the same frequency that Nelson Mandela had. You don't get no three lifetime sentences and then get out. So what is it about this freedom frequency? It's not an action. It's a state that you assume. And in all of my years of studying to be a samurai, studying martial arts and being a professional athlete and just doing, you don't meet people who just accident their way from where I was. And so the safest and easiest way I know how to teach this is from the gift that you have. It's from a calling that is in your soul. I know when you're operating from your calling, you will have the divine power of the all source of God. Not the human doing what they think they should be doing. The safest way I know, and the most practical way I know how to guide someone is from their calling, from their gift. And some people don't even know what their gift is because maybe when you were a little kid, you kept trying to go to the guitar and nobody ever bought you a guitar, but you somehow have always had this thought inside that said, man, I've always wanted to sing. I've always wanted to play the piano. When you hear things like that coming from your mouth, that is a sign to stop. When you hear, I've always, and nothing in your life has you talking about that, most of the time, that gateway often leads you to your calling. There's a reason why elementary schools are taking out art and music. The two disciplines that tap you into your multidimensional self. You were born multidimensional, and they taught you how to be linear. So they take those disciplines out because they want you to stay in your head and not in the wisdom of the body. That's the true wisdom. That's the true intelligence in the body. So that's how we get here. I could go for 10 more hours. But this is how we get here. Well, how was I supposed to know? You weren't. It was part of the program. This is why most people don't do real shit with their life that they actually want to do. And then they go to their grave with all their music still inside of them, all their books inside of them, all the podcasts, all the ideas, all the creativity, because they never developed the capacity to be brave enough to honor the gift. So what they did is they settle for the thrift. Oh, damn, that was good. Somebody tag me that. So they settle for the thrift. The second hand, the hand-me-down. And that is most people in the world. It is sad to say, but that is most people in the world. Somebody said to me that they're like, damn, Garrain, how does it feel to be the first black this, and you've been in Forbes 4 times, and da-da-da. I said, let me tell you something. I don't never want to be the first black anything. I just happen to be that. I only operate from what God has given to me. And what I've been told is, you stay with me and do not leave this transmission, and I'll show you what I can do. Somehow I'll be breaking all these records. I'm not trying to break the record because that's where the ego is. I'm not functioning from construct. I'm functioning from God. And that is very different. So when you come from that place, the deep source in your spirit, in your soul, when you come from that place, all will be taken care of. That's not my promise. I know it's a promise of God. You don't be $250,000 in debt, can't pay child support, try to kill yourself 3 times, and get taken out, and there's no way out, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, but I used to love to do this. And then you start doing that, and then your whole life transformed from 2010 till now, and it just keeps getting better every year. That's not an accident. So, my friends, that's how we got here. Hold on, I got a couple notes. That's how we got here. And the one thing I want us to focus on is a few things when it comes to your emotions that is going to be so supportive of you as you move forward. And I want you to write this down. If there are any habits, if there are any things that you're doing right now in your life that you know you should not be doing, and then you make excuses and you have little justifications. oh, this is just on the weekend, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You just write it down. I want you to write that down on a piece of paper. It's little habits and things you'll make. I shouldn't be doing this. Why do I do this every single time? I want you to just look at it. I want you to write these habits, these little addictions. Now, I want you to think of, like, in terms of food. Whatever your guilty pleasures are that you can't stop, and you're like, man, I've been trying to stop for so long, but then you get momentum. You're like, oh, let me just get one. For me, it was gummy bears. It's no longer gummy bears anymore. But I want you to think of food and these like little healthy things. You're like, ah. And then what is there of food that you're like addicted to? Like, I'm addicted to sweets. Which sweet? Or is there something in your life that, man, every time I have one of these, 3 weeks later, I can't stop downing it. It's like, say for instance, there was a protein cookie, but it's chocolate chip. In your mind, you're like, oh, but it's healthy. It's protein cookie. But something about your body is like, oh, but it tastes just like the real cookie I got. Here's what I'm going to share with you. That cookie is no longer healthy. Here's why. You got these athletes that are training for the Olympics. And there's 4 of them. 2 of them are doing the typical run and training everything. And the other 2 are doing the same training. The other 2 are doing the same training, but then they get these neurological tests. They start running the race in their mind. They're not even physically running the race. They're just seeing the race in their mind. Those 2 outperform the other 2 10 out of 10 times. On 10 different, so there was something about what the mind thought it was doing was actually feeding something in the body. So I want you to take a self-scan of things that are in your life. These little bitty habits that you have, I want you to write it all down. Any TV shows, any kind of scrolling. For me, it used to be ESPN, but it no longer has power over me. And I would just make up. My wife would always catch me on ESPN, and I'd just be like, oh, I just want to watch. But I know it was an addiction. For some of you, it's porn. For some of you, it's alcohol. For some of you, it's ayahuasca. I've done 75 ayahuascas, and you are still in the same spot with different language. Yeah, you addicted, homie. So I want you to just write it all down and just look at it. Now, you see, and I want you to put your fist together like this. Everybody, put your fist together like this. I want you to squeeze as tight as you possibly can. I want you to count to 30, tight as you possibly can. Keep it closed. 15, 16, a little bit tighter, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Now, as slow as you can, don't open it up, but as slow as you possibly can, try to open your hands. See how difficult it is to open your hand? Them little habits that you justify has a white knuckle grip on your emotions. And if you got more than one of those habits, that's why you are where you are. Because you have too many things that you're holding on to that's blocking you from your next level. Because you don't get to your next level from work, you get to your next level from vibration. We cannot operate spiritual levels the way that we learn school. The way we learn school is all linear. Like, I'm gonna work harder, I'm gonna get to the next level. I'm gonna work harder, you get to the next level. It's just like, yo, why does my life still suck? Why don't I really have the things that I want? Because that's the linear next level. The spiritual next level is vibrationally. And the world that you can't see, your emotions, the more hooks you got into those emotions, you will never get to the next level. What you will have is something that looks different on the surface. You'll call it the next level, but it will still feel the same. You could change your name. You could move to another country. You ain't gonna outrun vibration. That's why you keep attracting the same thing. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Your vibration attracts your tribe nation. You got to think in terms of vibration. They don't have to do a World War III. The war is already here. The war is on your emotions, and they're winning. Easy. Why? Because if you're trained in fear, you can be controlled by fear. So if you don't have sovereignty over your own emotions, you ain't gonna ever be free. There is no next level. This is why they don't just give first graders a pass to go to fifth grade. You got to pass levels. So those things, I'll make it real easy for you. Those things that you wrote down as your habits, the same strength it takes to hold on to them is the strength that is needed to hold your next level. You're literally holding on to your next level and not even realizing it. You can't put anything into closed fists. Ooh, but you can put everything into open hands. So what you think is just like it's a little habit, ain't nothing small. Little bitty acorn turns into a giant oak tree. There's nothing, and I'm working through my own, and I'm discovering things about my body and things, changing a few things, and I was just like, yo, it's only been 2 weeks. But I feel something that I haven't never felt before because I never went without this habit. So you got to look at habits, take the word habit away. And you can say pieces to my next level. It'll make you think about it differently. But this habit is hard to break. You know what's real hard? Going your whole life, and then you get on your deathbed, and then all them things that you didn't want to let go of, the resentment you didn't want to let go of, the forgiveness that you didn't want to give, the things you wanted, the habits you wanted to hold on to, all the gifts behind that are looking at you saying, you were so selfish. Only you could have brought us to life. but you chose to be selfish. People say they want to go to the next level, but most people are not willing to do what it takes to go to the next level. And not the school level, the vibrational level is very different. You're a multi-dimensional being, so when you start shifting in that way, food start tasting different. You look out the window and the lights start illuminating in a way you've never seen before. You like, yo, I actually don't like this. This doesn't match who I am. I just sold my $175,000. Well, I bought it for $175,000 G-Wagon because it represented a past lie of what I once thought the pinnacle of success was. I was like, this don't even match who I am. I'm like literally riding around in the frequency of a lie. So your emotions, knowing what hooks them, knowing what traps them, knowing what turns them on, turns them off, happy, sad, joyful, angry, frustrated. Your soul work for tonight is write all those things down and just look at it. You got to get the puzzle pieces out of the box first before you can put them together. But if you just leave them inside, when was the last time you put a puzzle piece together inside the box? You got to dump them out. This is how we get here, my friends. I promise you, they're not going to teach you this in school. They're going to be like, oh, you have issues. Oh, you're depressed. Come take this medicine. Oh, you have anxiety? Come here. Come take this. Come take this Ozempic. Come take this thing right here. Come take these aspirins. Come take all this other stuff. Why? Because it funnels a huge business. Now, let me go back to this. Now, when it comes to tapping into the main line, and this is what I wanted to bring, I had to talk about how we get here, because if you don't have context, thinking that you creating art on something on top of something that's already there is a collaboration. It's not a fine art one of one. My goal is to teach you and educate you on how to create a one of one life. And like this authentic one of one life. The main line is the source within, and you got to look at yourself like a human USB. A USB by itself can only do so much, but when you take the USB, by the way, a USB is a duplication of us. Take the USB, plug it into the computer, all the software comes up. So when you were born, something was given to you. You gotta believe it. You gotta believe it. You may know what it is, you may not know what it is. But my question to you is, what in your life that when you do it, time stops? It makes you feel so alive, and you feel like you can do it for hours and never get tired. What in your life? Type a 5 in the chat if you have it. Type a 5 in the chat if you don't know what that is and you're seeking, you're searching. Okay. So that is your main line, or it will lead you to your main line. If there's aliveness, that means if you think in terms of, the lottery and all those things start lighting up. Bling, 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 bling. That's aliveness. For me, that's music. I will do it all day, every day, and I won't get tired. And I get tired, I'll wake up and I'll do the thing, and I'll keep doing it, and I'll keep doing it, and I can't help it. I was literally born to do it. I was born to do it. So that's why 5 months ago, when I was seeking for what that thing is for me, I was like, man, look at my life. It's great. And that was a great place to hide. But deep inside was a little voice that said, Garrain, what about your music? And I would make excuses. Somebody hurt my feelings when I was in the industry. F music. I'm never going back. Oh, plus I'm too old. Meanwhile, I look younger than I did 15 years ago. So somehow God preserved me from that crazy ass industry and said, I want you to create music now, especially what's going on in humanity today. I was like, I needed a producer. I don't know how to play music. And then my wife goes, well, why don't you just rent a studio? I was like, I need to find a producer that is sensitive enough with my process. I didn't know it was going to be me. 5 months ago, I couldn't even play the piano. And then finally had a conversation with God. And my friend Stacy, who wrote that song Bigger by Beyonce. And I was like, Stacy, she's like, I said, the only thing that's in my way is I'm 46. She was like, no, Garrain, you're timeless. And I was like, damn. And I'm sitting there praying at night. When I prayed, I heard this voice say, don't try to create timeless music. Create with me, and I'm timeless. I was like, bet. And still, anybody who knows me, they knew I didn't like software, wires, many different options to get the monitors to work, the other monitor, the other wires, asking for support from my friend Ross and my other friend Wayne, and to do all these different things. I had to face everything I've avoided since I was a child. Things that I avoided in my marriage, things that I avoided in parenting, things that I avoided in work, all showed up at the piano. And within 4 days, I was producing my first song where I was doing the music. And my friend was like, how did you learn this in 4 days? I was like, oh, human time and multi-dimensional time, which there is no time in multi-dimensional space. It's called the space of the infinite. When you tap into your multi-dimensional self, which is where your main line lives, it compresses time frames. So 4 days in your multi-dimensional self is like 10,000 human hours. Wait till y'all hear this album. It's like I got Grammy Award winning producers and people that sold 150 million. They were like, are you the one doing all this music? I'm like, yeah. He said, but you started 5 months ago. When you're doing what you were born to do, you get ancient texts coming through you. You get universal truths coming through you. Your ancestors will not stop at the tree stump. It's going to go all the way through the tree because in order to be radically present, you must be supported by the roots. So your ancestors come through. Anybody that is meant to support you while you're tapped into the main line, you get full access, my friends. And this, I am not making up. When I tell you what is coming through me is nothing like I have ever experienced in my entire life. I just don't want to do it alone. So you know what I created? A 12-week creator development program so that me and 65, 70 other people can all do this together. Now, can you imagine all y'all tap into your main lines within the next 12 weeks? How could you do it that fast? Don't think in terms of fast. Think in terms of when you transcend time and space and you tap into your multidimensional self because you're operating from your main line, and then you have the proper education, you have the proper guidance, you have the proper accountability, and then you have 12 concentrated weeks focused solely on what is in your soul that you're meant to birth out into the world. Not what you do now, what you think you need to do, something that's been whispering to you since you were a little kid. I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to write a book. I've always wanted. Could you imagine who you become while operating from the full spectrum of yourself? You know, some cheesy ass stat that they give us? Whenever I say they, I meant they as in government and the invisible people who don't want to be seen that control all this stuff. Check it out. They say that we use 0.7% of our brain. You want to know why? Here's a simple thing. Because you don't use your toes for anything. They gave you the construct called, oh, I'm right-handed, left-handed, right-handed, left-handed. Okay, now write a full 5-page letter with your non-dominant hand. It's hard. I know. You only use 0.7% of your brain. You want to use more of your brain? Use your full body. You know what I learned this? In prison. Stop using my dominant hand and use my non-dominant hand for 2 straight years. And I was like, yo, there's things opening up in my head. And some of y'all can't even fathom that because you think about it. Stop using your right hand. Stop using your dominant hand. Write a letter with your toes. Never thought about that, right? Unless you didn't have hands and all you had was your feet. But you're like, how do you do that? They practice at it. Exercises that we're going to be doing in this 12-week creator development program that I've designed specifically for the creators. I promise you, we ain't going to be painting. You want to know what you're really made of? Really? See what happens when we do an exercise. Here's one of the exercises. Every day I wake up. For the first 45 minutes, I don't even open my eyes. And I walk around the house, put the powder in the tea for my wife and myself. I go and brush my teeth. And I got to feel my way around the house with my eyes closed. I can't even see because I'm fascinated how Stevie Wonder could do all those things without seeing. So all of a sudden, I have to breathe calmly. My steps are intentional. I'm waving my hands around and touching things, touching dimensions of doors, which is teaching me how to have a better relationship with the world around me, which inadvertently is teaching me how to have a better relationship with myself, which is also teaching me how to have a better relationship with my wife, because I'm in the learning of relationships. And then I have to trust myself. You know how you train trust? Shut down your eyes. Go walk around your house. You're going to have to trust every step. So you're literally training trust. That's one exercise inside of the 12-week creator development program. One. You know where you get the deep access from your deep intuition from? Deep trust. The deeper the trust you have in yourself and what you can't see. Oh, interesting. We're training, not seeing. You hit a little table, you're like, what's that? You lean into the table. And all of a sudden you open up your eyes, you get a little hit inside from an intuition. You're like, what's that? We're literally training on the world that you can't see. You know why this is also so valuable? Because the emotions you can't see, and the biggest business in the world is profiting off of your emotions. So the more sovereignty you have in the world that you can't see, the more you can govern your own emotions. This is one exercise. So I'm really excited to share with you inside of this 12-week development course starting August 1st and topping it off with one day in a sacred temple with mentorship. The goal is to launch whatever's in your launch a calling, whatever's the calling thing, the thing that's inside. If you've been holding on to a book, you're like, oh, I've always wanted to be an author. I always wanted to. We're launching your book. That's coming out. Like the thing that you've been holding on to, you call me the spiritual plumber. I'm like, let's plumb it out. Whatever's in the way, let's get it out. And so the goal in this 12-week creator development program is to align you with the tools that develop the capacity to hold for just how powerful you are, just how magical you are. And if you're tapping into the main line, I promise you, you won't be operating from smallness. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. So what we don't want to happen is, you ever heard of these people that win the lottery and then they go bankrupt within 1 year? Is because they didn't have the tools to hold for what that capacity was. My gift is teaching tools for certain stages of life. But when you tap into something you were born to do, you are going to see a level of manifestation and supernatural things that you're like, but I don't understand how this is happening. Yeah, because you might have been operating off of this false realization of a world that you weren't even supposed to live in. You're supposed to live in your multidimensional facet. And how you learn to develop the ABCs is how you were meant to develop your dreams. The dreams should not be random, but it's learning how to program them. The only reason why your dreams are random, ready for this? Because you're a multidimensional being. You just can't see the other dimensions. You can only see this one. It's very similar to the little baby who does all these random things. So your dream state, that version of you, is random. It's just not developed. But I know how to program that version of you by operating and using the navel, the belly button as the antenna so that you can be a receiver of the information in that version of you and how to program that before you go to bed. This is what we're going to be learning in the 12-week development program. Also, your intuition. Your intuition is, for most people, is probably in the ABC phase because most people are cosmically blind. But that can be developed just like the ABCs. So we're going to develop that, your dream state, walk around blind, do the shadow work, launch your art, have the accountability. You're going to have me for 3 hours every week for 12 weeks. And then you're going to have a designated coach in your pod with 2 calls a week. And you're going to have that call with a group of 7. And then you'll have me. So now you imagine if you're getting anything from this call, and this is the free portion, you got me for 12 straight weeks. Just imagine. Whatever the thing is that you are meant to launch and release, maybe you've been sleeping on it for 20 years. The goal is to get it out. And if it's like a really big goal, we're starting the process. Because one of my goals is to have the world's first multi-dimensional school. You know, like how they came into elementary and then they learned all this stuff, but all the stuff that they learned is how we live in a world of suffering. What if there was a school that can start the babies off and the little kid off based off of what they naturally gravitate to? Somebody spot it. Like I spot my daughter at 4.5 months having perfect rhythm and not bypassing it, to have a school, have things for teens. And so people are developing based off of their being and not the limited linear mind human. That is my big goal. That's my draw. Therefore, we don't have to do all this unwinding. My son, barely a year old, kept going outside. I was like, oh, it's clear. That is a nature boy. He'd rather be outside than inside. So we go outside every single day. So there's something here. Soul, it's dance, it's movement, it's expression. Wonder where she got that from. So I deeply care about humans operating from their full, authentic self. And I do my absolute best to create anything that I can to send the Batman signal. And many people don't get it, but many people do. And this is one of those signals. And so, for those of you who decide, and this is very, very, very special, who decide to join us for our 12-week creator development program. It's called Artist Power Expressed. I've done it before, but I've never done it like this. Those of you who decide to do it today and sign up today, I'm going to gift you with a free ticket to our next retreat. And anybody that's been to the retreats, they're like, damn, that's crazy. I've never been to anything like that. Because I love rewarding people who are serious and ready with now action. And if now is not the time, it's perfect. And so one thing I want to speak into is resonance. And that is one of the biggest things that I teach. You ever been in a room full of people who don't like you, or you felt like something was off? Something was like something doesn't feel right, and you could feel it in your gut. Type a 5 in the chat if you ever felt that. Nobody's talking, but you can feel it. Now, Have you ever been in a room full of people who love you? Nobody's talking and you can feel it. That's called resonance. I want you to write that down. That is called resonance. And I want to show you the power of resonance. I'm going to play something right now. I want you to see what instantly happens inside of your body and where it takes you. I want you to pay attention to what's happening to your body. I mean, I just automatically started dancing. You didn't even have to think about it.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble. But when you worry, you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy.
Now,
Don't
take
my mind.
I want you to just pay attention to your body.
And take my pain. Like an empty bottle takes the rain. And heal, 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 heal. And take my past and take my sins. Like an empty sail takes the wind.
Pay attention to your body. Okay, you see what just happened? Do y'all see what just happened? You didn't even have to think about it. So how did something bypass your brain that fast and get in your body? Those who control the music control the people. Because the resonance doesn't require thinking. So this thing that's going on in the world that hooks the emotions, it doesn't require thinking. All they have to do is program a specific resonance in the media, and all of a sudden, all you got to do is watch it, and it will instantly get into the body. In this 12-week creator development program, we are going to develop the capacity to have a wall around your emotions, not to block them, but the type that protect your emotions, because now you know how resonance works. So you can already start to see, I played 3 songs. Some of y'all were like, oh, I remember this from when I was 12. So you mean you just teleported without thinking within 5 seconds. This is how art gets diluted. This is how creativity gets diluted. This is how just like artistry and things that you want to bring. You're like, I don't know why I can't put my book out. I don't know why, because all of these things are going at the same time. The words, the emotions, just so many different things. This global resonance called media and everything. That you talk to a friend that talks to a friend. Did you hear about this? And all of a sudden it gets inside, and all of a sudden you feel bad, but you don't know why you feel. I know how to develop the muscle that blocks all that stuff out. Now, would that be very valuable in you being able to create in peace? You being able to create from a deep well inside of yourself. This is why most people don't publish or launch or do what they really want to do, because of the outside pressures that you don't need to be subject to. So all these things we're going to learn about in a 12-week creator development course that's designed for you. And because y'all are on this call, I'm giving everybody a 20% savings, and I'm going to do something I've never done before. Everybody on this call who signs up today, but it's today, you get a free ticket to the retreat. All I'm going to say is don't sleep, don't sleep, don't sleep, don't sleep, don't sleep. And this is a beautiful opportunity. And so we've been on this call today, and we learned quite a few things. How we got here. Because if you live on Earth, you went through some system. I promise you. You speak English, you're in a system right now. And we just kind of just decoded the system. The linguistic system, the food system, the emotional system, and we created our own system. And that's the one that governs your emotions inside of yourself, so that when you create from the calling, and that's the gateway, it's coming from what's sourced inside of you, and then you bring that out into the world. That's the thing that protects. That's the thing that creates it's like this tree that just keeps giving and giving and giving and giving, but it's something inside of you. It will never be something outside of you. It's something that you were born to do. And so having the accountability, have the 12 weeks, having the extra coaches, having me, and then having your gift be the central focus for the entire 12 weeks, I wonder what we can create. So my friends, what will it be? There has never been a better time for you to say yes to yourself. I'm in. Marshall, where you at? I can't see your face. Marshall, can you show your face? I want to know why you're in. I want to bring you offline. Oh, you can't unmute. Okay, let me unmute for you. Ask to unmute.
My signal is very bad and I can't turn it on.
Okay, I can hear you now though.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'm going to go back outside. Maybe it'll work that way.
What inspired you to be in?
Everything about it. It's just something that I feel is right. I've been very intuitive all my life, and this just hits everything right on the right spot. I mean, everything is just so much of what I believe, and you just gave me the way to get bypass the things that were bothering me before, and that's what you're showing me, and that's just amazing because I didn't know how to bypass all that, but now I do from
Let's
listening to you. I
go.
don't know completely, but I want to learn.
Yeah, it's if you could it's that resonance thing that y'all saw,
Yeah,
when you know how to train that part of you, you'll see how the things get in that how you get hooked by all the other stuff that stops you from being the intuitive being that you are and the that it's but there's a way to train that muscle. You can't see it, but you can use the music as that tool, because that music that we use as a tool is the same thing that the government has a resonance, and all these other things have a food has a resonance, and it will bypass the brain, and all of a sudden you're like, how am I in this situation? How did I get into this situation again? And
that's
so
exactly what that.
okay, cool. So I look forward to seeing you in the office. The office is where we do the work.
Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Where?
Let's see. Alexa, why are you why did you sign? You just signed up, yeah? I can't hear you.
Yes, I did. I just signed up. I'm so excited. I was in Garrain's retreat this past, I think it was now a month and a half ago, and it honestly changed my life. Like my internal dialogue is different. How I show up in spaces and rooms are different. My energy is different. Like I feel like I was reborn again. And so that was only what, 3 days? 3 or 4 days. And so I had to do anything that was more than that. 12 weeks with you, man. I'm really excited. And with your coaches, like everyone, the team is just incredible. Like I am so beyond excited for this. And
12
if
weeks with
Paul,
us.
yes, yes. Yeah, no, honestly, my life has already changed from the 4 days. So for 12, I can't imagine what I can do with 12 days in
We
12 weeks. Sorry, 12 weeks. See, I'm so excited. I'm just really excited. Honestly, I can't wait. Everything has shifted for me in my life ever since that retreat. And I've been to many retreats. I've been a part of retreats all my life. I host things, and the depth that we went through, the things that I learned, the gift that I received from that was so great. And so I'm just really honored to be in this 12-week program. And if you can do it, which I hope you all can be there as well, like please join me and let's see where we go.
let's go. Fire me up, my friend. I'll see you in the office.
Yes.
Who else knows that this is for them and we will see you at the office? The office is wherever we do work. There's that uncomfortable silence. I will sit in the uncomfortableness for another 10 minutes. Ugh. It's so great. And here's what I want to say as we close it out, my friends. Even if you decide that this is where you stop, what I shared tonight, this isn't taught in school. can radically alter the trajectory of your life, because now you see the invisible world that has governed this thing called your life. Because if you don't know what's influencing certain things, and all of a sudden you just bite the chip, you're like, oh, it's just the bite of the chip. And then something loops in your life, and then 3 weeks later you're smashing your face with all this food. You're like, wait, why does this always happen? And you don't even know that that little chip was actually connected to the thing that happened 3 weeks later. Like, if you don't know that system there, you can't see it. So you got to pay attention to patterns. The patterns will always happen. Why does this always happen every year around this same time? Because we're governed by all these loops. We open up the loops and we don't know how to close them because you can't see them. And so we're going to close loops. We're going to open up new ones. And we're going to have the education that the body responds to, not the education that the mind responds to. We got enough of that. Do this and do that and sign up and you do this thing right here and in God we trust. No, thank you. You can keep that one. You can keep all those signs and symbols too. Unless you're going to put me on that. So I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you for showing up today, and remember that the excavation period that I spent a lot of time on, anytime you're wanting to go to another level in life, you must look and seek how you got here. Okay, last year at this time, I went to school. Oh, and I was dating this person, but I didn't really want to date him. Oh, I found something. You're doing something you didn't want to do, and you stayed in it, not realizing the seed that was planting for your future. So now you got a field of weeds because you didn't plant the right seed. So this is when you understand how to do that groundwork, and then you plant the proper seed coming from the source of the main line, you watch what you create out in the world. You just watch. And I'm telling you now, there's going to be somebody on this call right now. And then maybe y'all come to the next few webinars. There'll be somebody on this call that takes evasive action. And they're going to come back, Garrain, you were right. And I'm doing this, and da-da-da. And all these things came out of nowhere. And how did this happen? And then y'all going to be like, damn, I had the opportunity, but I didn't take it. And the only opportunities in life you don't take are the only opportunities in life you don't get are the ones that you don't take. So I want everybody to say this with me. I can afford me. And once you get that, I can afford me, you will never run out of money. Why? Because money is a piece of paper with preconceived value that matches the value that you have in yourself. It's a magnet to your value. So if you can afford you, when some people say I can't afford it, you're calling you a it. And that's probably how you see yourself in terms of value. But when you say I can afford me, and you realize it was never about the money, while you loving nature and loving trees for some of y'all, loving plants because you just love nature. And some people are like, oh, I got money issues. No, you don't. How could you tell me you don't have money issues? Because in most parts of the world where money is printed, it's printed on paper. Paper comes from bark. Bark comes from a tree. So if you don't have tree issues, you don't have money issues. You just don't know how to organize your vibration in terms of value to make it flow in your life just like nature, my friends. You know who's going to teach you that? Me. Because everything I teach comes directly sourced from nature. Every single thing that I teach. So having said that, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and getting on and taking your time to be on here. The greatest gift you can give to someone who cares, who invests in you, the greatest gift. Apply. Application. Do something with the information you got. And then brag to me about how your life changed. Oh my goodness. The worst thing is when nobody says anything and I find out 10 years later you create a $10 million company and then all of a sudden you're like, Garrain, it was that one call. You didn't tell me? I want to join in this celebration. So whatever you got from this call, when the divine synchronicities start happening, start bragging. Like, tell me, send me a DM on Instagram. Like, Garrain, I did that thing and this happened and this happened. And I just want to celebrate you. I want to be in the celebration. I love team. So I want to thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. And we're going to post that link one more time. And for those of you who get your ticket now, who sign up for the program now, I'm going to honor you with a free retreat ticket. I think it's next June or whenever our next retreat is. And I'm going to honor you with that ticket. And then plus you'll get a 20% savings. So Emmanuel, if you can post that again, that would be helpful for those who are on the line. And then we're going to go into a close as soon as Emmanuel posts it. I don't see it. Oh, I was in the wrong chat. I'm like, somebody sent me a private message and I sent them back. And I was like, yo, nobody's commented for the last 15 minutes. I was in the wrong chat. Okay, cool. So y'all have a powerful, amazing, beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. And we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Peace.